Weather cancels the final round of qualifying. Many teams left scratching their heads going into Sunday, and some teams still continue to show improvements off of last weekend's race. All that and more here in our NHRA New England Nationals qualifying recap. Let's get into the video. So, like we talked about in the intro, the weather going this week is probably going to be the top story heading into Sunday. On Friday, we entered qualifying with some very hot conditions, which led to a slick racetrack, which left a lot of teams exiting Q1 with needing to make a clean run coming into Q2. The problem with that, though, is we saw a massive weather shift. They talked about the weather as being in the 50s come today, and that involved a lot of challenges for a lot of the Nitro teams. Again, in Q number 2, half the field didn't make a clean run. In funny car, we really didn't see any clean runs whatsoever. The only driver to get a clean run was Alex Laughlin. He was running it to about a 4.0 if I'm correct. He didn't even have that good of a run. In qualifying in funny car in general, we didn't even see a 3-second run. And in top field, we only had 2 3.7 second runs, and the rest were down the 8s or even the 4s. So a lot of challenges going into Sunday, as over half the teams are going to be left scratching their heads going into Sunday trying to figure out what do we need to change on this race car to win round number 1. And that's for like well over half the field in the Nitro categories. Nobody really has much of an idea on what to expect going into Sunday, because we're expecting much of the similar conditions. Because of the fact they didn't have that Q3 run, they're not really going to have a lot to work with heading into Sunday's eliminations. And with that, because of the rain that came in today, to try and hopefully have a better shot of getting the race in, they're moving the start time of the New England Nationals up to 10 a.m. That's not really going to affect the TV broadcast, but if you live in the area and you're going to the event, get there early. They're already talking about canceling the pre-race stuff, including the driver introductions and the track walk, just so that way they have a better shot of getting the race in. Much similarly, they're going to be trying to do whatever they can to get this race in, and because of that, I believe that obviously the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge is canceled, which sucks because, again, it's going to be a very exciting race. I haven't really had any word on what they're going to do with that. If I'm guessing from what we've seen in the past, more than likely what's going to happen is they'll take the final round of the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge and then just move it to, I believe, Q1 of Bristol. That is the best guess I have, or they're just going to scrap it all together, but I don't even think they're going to do that because the teams want the money and they want the bonus points because there's so much on the line with that. Speaking of that, Clay Millican continues to show some massive improvements going into this weekend. He came off that very popular win back in Chicago that blew Twitter up, blew all social media up. If you were around, a Clay Millican win is honestly the best thing for NHRA right now. That is probably, besides John Force, the most popular driver in the entire series. And anytime that guy wins a race, it is going to be a big deal for all the fan base, and it was incredibly a big deal for him because going into Chicago, he was 0-5. I actually believe 0-6 if you want to count the Top Fuel call-out. He has had a very, very struggling start to the season, and that win was a very big morale boost for that team. And since then, because if you want to count the round wins from round number 1 in Chicago, including now his Top Fuel Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge run win, he has now won five rounds in a row. So that was a very big morale boost for that team and a very big, hopefully, signs of a turnaround because he once again has taken down the reigning Top Fuel champion, Brittany Force, who, again, big struggles. Neither of the two had a clean run. What happened in the first round of the call-out, or the first round of the challenge, they get off the line, Clay smokes the tires, Brittany smokes the tires, Clay realizes she smokes the tires, gets back into the throttle, just about takes out the timing line, or about crosses the center line, going to 1,000 feet, and Brittany tried chasing him down just to blow up the motor, and Clay escapes with a very narrow win to make it to the final of the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Similar situation for the other side of that category as well, as Leah Pruitt and Josh Hart faced off. Same situation there. Both cars smoked the tires. Leah kept her foot in it on the clutch and just drove it down to a win to beat Josh Hart to go face Clay in the final round, and what I'm assuming is going to be Q1 at Bristol. Tim Wilkerson in the funny car ranks, he escapes with a narrow avoidance in getting to the final round of the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. He faced off against John Forth, much like everybody else, smokes the tires immediately off the line. John being John, keeps his foot in it and tries to wrangle the car down the racetrack. Problem with that is he had a much similar situation we saw with Clay. Car dances over to the center line, not so lucky to get his foot off the gas, and knocks out both of the timing lines. In a second timing block, however, going straight through the nose of his funny car, punched a hole straight through it, bounced off the wheel, and back across the other lane. Therefore, because of that, that gave Till Wilkerson a win to go face now Ron Capps, who took down Chad Green in his final. Again, I have no idea what they're really going to do with that. There hasn't really been a lot of word on what they're planning to do with that because of the fact that the rain canceled out. I think they're going to give it to Bristol. I'm not really sure. Obviously, just keep your eye on NHRA on the website, the social media accounts on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They're probably going to do something with that, or any real NHRA reporter out there that's reporting on what's going on there, because I'm not at the event this weekend, so I have no word on what they're doing. I'm just going off an idea on what I believe they have done in the past, so that's probably what's going to end up happening. Moving on into Sunday, the low car counts that we saw this weekend put a lot of emphasis going into Sunday. A lot of teams are going to be doing whatever they can now to really take advantage of this, because to give you an idea, looking in the top fuel ladder, which I'll really cover later, Antron Brown, number 1 qualifier, he gets an automatic bye into the second round because of the fact there's only 13 funny top fuel drivers. Because of that as well, the number 2 ranked Sean Langdon and the number 13 ranked Tony Schumacher, whoever wins that race, gets a bye run because of the open pair below them. That will give whoever wins that race a open bye run into the semifinals. So that is some huge points, especially for guys like Sean Langdon and Tony Schumacher, especially for Tony Schumacher, who has yet to really win a first round race. He has not really made it past the first round since Gainesville, or I believe he lost in the semifinals to Steve Torrance. This race could be a very big turnaround for that team, but again, they're one of the teams who have not made a clean run all weekend. Sean Langdon, however, the number 2 qualifier, did. He made a very impressive run early on in top field qualifying, boosted him up to second right behind Antron Brown. A 3:7:29 for Brown was beating the 7:38 that was set by Sean. So right now, Tony has a lot of work to do tonight to try and turn the season around. And with the runs that we're seeing out of Sean Langdon, the improvements that the Coletta camp has made, he's going to have his work cut out for him. Similar situation over in Funny Car. Because of the fact they only have 14 drivers showed up for this weekend, whoever wins the race between number 1 qualifier Chad Green and number 14 qualifier Jim Campbell, whoever wins that race gets an open run into the semifinals. So there's going to be a lot on the line going into that. Looking down the qualifying ranks, just to give you an idea of how crazy this weekend has been in terms of what we saw within the qualifying ranks, looking back towards top fuel. Like I said, Antron Brown at 7:29, put him in the number 1 qualifying spot. Sean Langdon was the only driver besides, I do believe he was the one driver who did a clean run besides Antron, actually. A 7:38 boosted him up to second. Leah Pruitt, who exited Q1, she drops to third. Josh Hart's fourth. Dan Mercier, with an incredible improvement, moves him up to fifth. Mike Salinas is in sixth. Proc is in seventh. Steve Torrance, one of the drivers as well, who never really got a clean run, he's in eighth. Clay Millican, who escaped with that round win in the Top Fuel Too Fast 2-Stage Challenge, he falls down to ninth. Justin Ashley's in 10th. And then here's some big names that are down there in the bottom. Brittany Force, 11th with a 4.907. Again, no clean runs for her. Same for Doug Coletta. He's in 12th. And Tony Schumacher ends up qualifying in the 13th position. With that, going into the Sunday eliminations, like I said, Antron Brown gets a bye run. He's going to face whoever wins between Austin Prock and Steve Torrance. Pair below them, Josh Hart faces Brittany Force. That's going to be a very rough battle for both of those. Whoever wins that's going to take on either Dan Mercier or Justin Ashley. Sean Langdon, Tony Schumacher, like I said, whoever wins that is going to advance out into the semifinals, where he will either meet Leah Pruitt and Doug Coletta, who are going to face off the 3 number 12 ranked team, and whoever wins that race will move on to round 2 to face Mike Salinas and Clay Millican. Looking over into the funny car ranks, Chad Green ends up qualifying number 1. Matt Hagan moves to number 2. Alex Laughlin, because of that fact that he had a clean run in qualifying in Q number 2, gives him probably a career best number 3 in the Nitro ranks. He qualifies 3rd, beats Ron Capps, who had a 4.483. Robert Hyde qualifies 5th. Till Wilkerson 6th. Cruz Pedregon in 7th. J.R. Todd in 8th. 9th is John Force, who's going to have a lot of work replacing that body. Alexis DeJoria qualifies 10th. 11th goes to Bob Tasca. 12th, Blake Alexander. 13th, Terry Haddock, who I believe this is his first appearance back in NHRA since the Vegas 4 Nationals, where he DNQ'd. He qualifies 13th in beating Jim Campbell, who qualifies 14th. Looking over into the brackets, Chad Green's going to face off against Jim Campbell, like I talked about. That will be an open run into the semifinals. Whoever wins that, moving below them, the 4th, 11th ranked Ron Capps faces off against Bob Tasker III. That is going to be a very tough challenge. Ron Capps still looking for the first Wally of the season, but really the only driver, I believe, who has had any luck in taking any of them down has been Bob Tasca. So that's going to be probably my match to watch in Funny Car. Robert Hite faces off Alexis DeJoria. They will meet whoever wins between Capps and Tasca. Moving below that, Matt Hagan versus Terry Haddock, a rematch from the semifinal race at Pomona, where Terry Haddock got sent home in arguably his best race of the season so far. Whoever wins that is going to face Cruz Pedregon or J.R. Todd. And in the final pair, Alex Laughlin, number 3 qualifier, fakes off against the number 12 of Blake Alexander. Whoever wins that gets the honor of racing the rematch of the first round Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Tim Wilkerson versus John Force. My apologies, John Force. I don't know how I got that wrong. So again, really eventful qualifying. This is going to be an incredible first round eliminations because we're expecting a lot of similar weather conditions that we saw today. Very cold conditions, going to be very, very fast racetrack. They're going to be very aggressive to try and put down some fast times. It's going to be one hell of an event. Like I said, first round elimination starts off at 10. I'm going to have probably the telecast for the times that they're going to start will be down below. And once again, thank you guys for watching. I know I wasn't there for Chicago. I planned on being in Chicago. Things end up not happening in my favor. That caused me to have to cancel that event, hoping to be down in Bristol. But regardless, I will be back here tomorrow to give you guys the full recap of Sunday's eliminations. Once again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting. Again, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, wherever. Subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share this video with everybody else so that way they can as well be informed what's going on in NHRA. This season has been incredible, and we're going to see another incredible eliminations come Sunday. So again, thank you guys for watching. And until then, this has been Mighty Mac, and I will see you next time. Enjoy Sunday's eliminations, everybody.